Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, sisters. You're watching Women's AM with myself, Ayan, and joining us on the panel today we've got Sister Nusrat, Sister Nazia and Sister Saida. It's now time for our final segment this morning in What She Thinks, where you've asked sisters about the same strangest places that they've prayed, so let's have a look at their responses.
What's the strangest place you've ever prayed?
Well, I wouldn't say the strangest place I've ever played, but I would say at work while I'm working and the children, because I'm working as a teacher, so while the children are playing, I've just found a quiet place to pray.
I think has to be my a field area in my university, because that time we didn't have a prayer room separate to Muslims. Then we kind of compromised a place with the Christians, and we got a multi-faith prayer room right now. So.
The strangest place I have ever prayed, or I'd have to say it was in Spain during my dissertation, my final year of my degree, and we were literally in the middle of nowhere, and I just pulled up on the side of these mountains and just prayed in the dust basically, and it was amazing, a little bit scary as well because there are a lot of stray dogs around, but we thought we have to do it, so yeah.
At the back of a restaurant, in an alley.
Strangest place I would say would be a park, car park, changing rooms, in the car, on the plane. So in India, in the marketplace. Yeah, we just found a space, it's time, so.
The strangest place I've ever prayed was in the library of the university.
Well, that was really interesting, in particular that last sister. She had quite a few places to say that she's prayed in. Alhamdulillah, I have to say the strangest places that I've ever prayed in is inside a church. It was during Ramadan, and there was absolutely no time for me to go look for somewhere to pray, so I stepped inside this church. Luckily, I had a friend with me, so she kind of waited for me, and as I was praying, a couple of people came in, and they just kind of looked at me weird, like, what's she doing? My friend was like, don't worry, she's just praying. What about you, sisters?
I used to pray in the store cupboard at work because there was no prayer facility, and so they basically said, look, if you want to pray, just pray in the store cupboard, and there was just enough space amongst all the stationery for me to put my musalla down.
Alhamdulillah, at least you had some space.
Exactly.
What about you, Nazia?
Actually, I can't even forget it. I don't think I'll ever forget it, but there was this one year and we had heavy snowfall, and I remember I was out with my husband, and basically we were just stuck in traffic. The traffic was going nowhere, and it was just so thick with snow outside, and the time for Salah had come in, and we were like, we have to pray, and there was no chance we were going to be getting home in time. So we had to get out of the car, pray on the snow, and I tell you, I had brain freeze. It was extraordinary. But,
yeah. Imagine all the edges though, yeah, for that.
Yeah, brain freeze. Yeah.
What about you, Nusrat?
Well, I've had very few experiences of praying in places that I'm not meant to, but I think one of the strangest places I've prayed actually is in the changing rooms, but particularly in Hollister. I think it was either Hollister or Abercrombie and Fitch, and I needed to pray, and we were in Westfield, and I'm not really used to praying when there's loud music bumping and you're trying to maintain your khushu, and it was in a changing room. I'm not really used to that, so that's pretty much a very strange experience to me, trying to battle with concentration.
Alhamdulillah. I think, though, one of the interesting things is that no matter where we are, the fact that we remember that it's absolutely incumbent that we have to pray and establish that connection is the most amazing thing. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, the need to establish your prayer is above everything else. MashaAllah, I mean, you could basically pray anywhere. Anywhere is a prayer, is a place to pray, as long as it's clean. I mean, I remember going on holiday with a friend of mine, and it was quite funny because, like the sister in the clip, we actually asked one of the waiters, we said, oh, do you have maybe like a quiet corner that we can pray? And then he said, oh, just hold on, I'm going to go ask the manager. And they did. They gave us a nice little corner to pray in, and
actually,
alhamdulillah,
this is
pretty
something
good.
that's so important that we sort of every time I've ever asked people, could I please have a space to pray, it's very rare that you would ever get a response from someone. Normally people are quite accommodating in that way. Often it's our own mental block that prevents us from actually taking that up.
The irony is, once I was in East London and there was a masjid that had prayer facilities for men and women, and I asked them if I could pray, and they said, no, it's locked.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. That's different.
Wow, that's yeah. I was shocked. That, I mean, in the end, we went to a restaurant and prayed in the restaurant. But, I mean, if the facility is there for women, honestly, you've got to have the key and just unlock it.
Yeah. But subhanAllah, like you were saying, Nazia, that some sisters feel like they're afraid to ask, you know, whether that, you know, they can be accommodated in that way, whether they can be given a space to pray. Why is it that we feel maybe reluctant to ask?
I think one of the reasons why some people don't feel, or at least are reluctant to ask for a place to pray, and this is something that I've noticed, not just something restricted to sisters, even brothers. Sometimes it does come from having this kind of inferiority complex. Oh, I'm praying. I don't want people to make it look like I'm praying. It could be that as well, because as well, I know of circumstances where some people even won't do things like in the bathroom, like doing wudu and praying, because they're so concerned about what somebody else thinks. So this is a big problem, the perceptions of other people. And even as well, like I remember as well during my time at university, and particularly within like when I was doing work, academic work within the legal field, my prayer was actually referred to as that time of the day. So it's actually, you know what, a good opportunity even for dawah as well, by asking. People will rarely say no. We just make it bigger than it really has to be.
Exactly. What tips can we offer sisters in terms of maybe kind of going over that hurdle and actually asking someone, you know, can you give me that space? What tips can we give sisters?
I think your company does play quite a big role. So, for example, if you're around sisters that regularly, they always take the time out to pray, try and be within their company, because then it won't feel as daunting as we seem it to be.
But I think you need to also still develop that conviction that, you know what can possibly happen by you going up and asking an individual? Because I had a similar situation where there was a young girl, she was going on a school trip, and we were having this kind of dialogue and discussion, because she knew in the school trip she's going to have to make some kind of arrangement to do her salah. And I tell you one thing, when you do something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will facilitate something in return for you. And in the thick of an environment where you would have thought it was impossible, in a convention with so many people, this girl went to a security guard who then happened to be a Muslim. She didn't know at the time until she spoke to him and said, I need to pray, is there somewhere? And he said, yeah, I'll take you to the prayer room. And in a place where he, you know, it was just incredible. And before she even did that, she had the teacher, she had to negotiate it first with the teacher, because it meant separating from the school trip. And actually that teacher, she said, yeah, that's fine, I'll take you with, you know. And this is what I mean. I think a lot of the time the obstacles we place in the way, and I think if we have that bravery and that conviction, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you. He will open up the path for you in ways that you cannot imagine. And subhanAllah, it is possible, and I think until you try it, and you should try it, because it is a fard, you have to do your salah in the time that it's specified, and that alone should motivate you and spring you into action.
Alhamdulillah. One quick tip, Sister Saida.
I have nothing to add, because the interesting thing is I tried it when I went to New York last year, and I was in the airport and I was thinking, how on earth am I going to ask? I'm dressed like this, I need to pray. And I asked one of the cleaners, and they took me to a place and I prayed just because I asked. The guy wasn't even Muslim, you know, so if you ask, and all you need is the guts to ask.
It's opening up that line of communication, and people will be more understanding than you think. But alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair for that, sisters. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of today's show, but do join us again tomorrow, where we'll be discussing the adab of a Muslimah. It'll be a good one, so don't miss it. Before we go, here's another quick reminder of this week's competition.